Hello and welcome to our episode on John Stuart Mill and Rethinking Utilitarianism. In Bentham's Principle of Utility, Mill found a creed, a doctrine, a philosophy, and even a kind of religion. He defended it against charges of being base and degrading. To do so, Mill introduced several non-hedonistic elements in his vision, particularly in his famous book Utilitarianism. Mill debates Bentham's ideas, noting that Bentham defined pleasure as the absence of pain, while unhappiness is pain or the privation of pleasure. Mill argues that to clarify the moral standard set by this theory, more must be said, especially about what is included in the ideas of pain and pleasure, and for what ultimate purpose. Bentham, Mill observes, does not answer these questions. According to Mill, the only thing desirable for its own sake is pleasure and freedom from pain. Everything else is desired only as a means to the supreme end. Therefore, understanding the source and quality of pleasure is essential in determining the rightness or wrongness of an action. Bentham considered all pleasures equal if their quantity was equal. Mill, however, admitted that pleasures differ in quality. Some pleasures are higher or superior to others, even if they are equal in quantity. He rejects Bentham's dictum that all goods are the same if pleasure is equal, arguing instead that the value of a good depends on its results, especially for those who have experienced both higher and lower pleasures and agree that higher pleasures are preferable. Mill emphasizes the source of pleasure, not pleasure itself. By recognizing qualitative distinctions among pleasures, he departs from Bentham's idea that humans are solely guided by pleasure and pain in abstraction from the objects producing them and the individuals experiencing them. Mill also rejects Bentham's claim that humans are motivated only by the desire to obtain pleasure and avoid pain. Instead, he argues that the best way to achieve happiness is to focus on something other than one's own happiness, such as the happiness of others or the improvement of mankind. In this way, Mill modifies the principle of utility, showing that it involves more than hedonic calculation. For Mill, utility no longer means the hedonic value of things alone. It encompasses all the good things humans aspire to: liberty, culture, education, and the higher values of life. A happy life, Mill argues, is a moral and intellectual life, not one merely filled with sensory pleasures. Mill also diverges from Bentham in viewing the greatest happiness principle as primarily ethical rather than political. Bentham focused on social legislation and policy, using utility as a guide for legislators and administrators. Mill, however, emphasizes personal morality, arguing that individuals must determine for themselves what they ought to do. Consequently, the political aspect of utilitarianism recedes into the background. Mill insists that only pleasures approved by rational reflection are worth pursuing. He finds the hedonistic calculation absurd because it is difficult to measure accurately. Bentham attempted to align personal and public interests through external sanctions, physical, popular, moral, and religious. Mill finds this inadequate, arguing that all such sanctions are external. Liberty and conscience, he argues, are more natural and durable foundations for morality. Mill locates the internal sanction of utilitarian morality in the sentiment of conscience, recognizing the pleasure and pain that follow performing one's duty. In summary, Mill's view of human nature and society differs fundamentally from Bentham's. He rejects the idea that humans are primarily egoistic and motivated only by self-interest. Mill sees individuals as capable of being moved by concern for others' welfare, approaching an organic view of society. By incorporating moral and intellectual considerations, Mill reinterprets utilitarianism in harmony with the facts of moral life. However, due to his historical position and context, Mill could not construct an entirely new ethical theory. Yet, he successfully refined Bentham's utilitarianism, giving it greater moral depth and relevance. Thank you for staying till the end. If you enjoyed this, stay connected. More content like this is coming soon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.